Hello and welcome back to another episode of the A1306 Podcast. Today I'm going for a solo podcast because we're going to be talking about football. More specifically, we're going to be talking about where I think the 20 Premier League teams will finish for the season. And I'll probably explain a little bit about it. And there might be a few more cuts than what a normal podcast would be. It's also very hot and I've got loads of lights on me right now. So if you see me start beaming of sweat, then that's why. But like I said, we're going to start off today with the Premier League. And if you see me swigging my drink, I apologise. Because like I said, it is very, very, very hot. But yeah, well, let's get started, I guess. Get straight into it. So, obviously, we'll start from bottom to top, so 20th to 1st, and we're going to start off with obviously 20th. So, for me, really, there's two teams that could be in this 20th position. Two teams what did go up into the Premier League from last year from the Championship. And for rock bottom, I am going to go with... See, it's a sticky one. But I'm going to go with Sheffield United, I think Sheffield United are going to finish 20th. There's just saying they've lost Ndiaye, who was obviously their best, probably their best attacker last year, probably their best player last year in the Championship. He's gone to Marseille now. They're on the verge of losing Sander Berg, who's their best midfielder and best player overall now. So if you're losing your two best players and not really recruiting anyone to replace them, I think that's looking very, very long for you. And Paul Heckingbottom, nowhere near an elite manager at all. I don't even think he's going to last the whole season. I'd be quite surprised if he's still there at Christmas. And I think their squad's just too thin, too weak. It's not Prem proven. And I can see in January they try and get some loans in that won't work. And I can see that next year a few of their other decent players anyway, not better, are going to go away. Their goalkeeper's not very good. He's alright, but he's not like Prem standard. There's a lot of replacements they need. I don't know if they have the money. I don't know if they have the youth system really, but I think they're going to finish 20th. 19th though, I'm going to go with Luton Town. Now, like I said at the start when I was talking about Sheffield United, I feel like you can swap these two about, and it's a fair argument. Just with Luton, I just think home games for them are going to come into play massively. Like I think going Kenilworth Road is going to be a fucking hassle for a lot of teams, especially teams, not probably like Sheffield United, but like teams like your Chelsea, your Tottenham, United. They've never been in that environment. They're very privileged, a lot of them players. So they're going to go into this bit of a hostile, proper nitty gritty like stadium, and I think they're going to get a decent amount of points there. Not like enough to obviously keep them up, but I think their recruitment's been good and smart. Like they've obviously got one of the lads, I don't know how to say his name, but the Irish striker from Rotherham, scored a lot of goals last year. They got that Anderson from Barnsley, who done very well with Barnsley. Might not be Prem ready yet, but he's still a decent centre back. And they've just got a few decent players. That Giles is good, and I think they've recruited for when they go back down, because I think they know they're going to go back down. But it's a big moment for them to be up anyway. Obviously, they've just got Ross Barkley who's just gone there. That's Prem proven centre mid. He might get him for a few points. That games against Sheffield United, he might get a free kick goal, a long shot goal, and just get a couple of points for them here and there. I think mainly the difference for them two is, like I said, the home form for Luton I think is going to be not as bad as people probably think it will be, because they're the ones who have to play half their games there. So their environment, they're used to their surroundings there. And I think the two games they played against Sheffield United, they're going to probably beat them just about, but they probably will. 18th. Now, for full transparency, I'm filming this on Wednesday and the season starts on Friday. So I've tried to keep it as late as I possibly can to get as much information as I can. And for 18th, I've been in my head as well, because I've been thinking about this all week, the last 2 weeks, on who I think is going to finish where. And I think Wolves are going to finish 18th. Literally, as of today, Lopetegui had left of mutual consent. He didn't want to, basically, there wasn't enough money. He wanted to go, and they've just got in Gary O'Neill. not being funny, there's a reason why Bournemouth didn't keep and stick with Gary O'Neill, even though he had quite a good season. The style of play, I get that might get him some points, but it's not going to win him too many games. And basically, like, he has no time for the first couple month or two to proper get into the team and have his sort of style and his players there. Like, it's 6 days, well, not even 6 days. What is it till the season starts? 2-3 days now till the season starts. 2 days till the season starts. Don't know why it took me so long. It's Wednesday and it starts Friday. Like, come on. But yeah, like, he's gonna have a lot of hard trying to get his system in. I don't think he's ready to be a top tier manager. Like I said, there's a reason why what they call what team? Bournemouth got rid of him. Just think there's something missing with Wolves. They've got no money either, and they've openly admitted they haven't got any money. They've lost their best players like Neves, even Adama Traore would get you some sort of get you through some games. Raul Jimenez has gone. That's at least 7 goals for a season. Like, that can win you games. Like, it's looking very bleak for Wolves, and yeah, I think they're going to go down with Luton and Sheffield United. We'll go to 17th now, and I think Nottingham Forest are going to stay up, but just about. I think Forest and Wolves are kind of within that same area of it could get ugly pretty quickly. I think it's going to get uglier for Wolves quicker and for a longer period of time than compared to Forest. Steve Cooper, I don't think he's going to see out the end of the season, but I think Forest will end up getting a manager in who will turn it around for him. Someone like I know he's obviously at Everton, but like a Sean Dyche or something. Someone who's made to keep people up, and he'll get kept up for that, or Forest will get kept up for that. Obviously, it depends if they get Dean Henderson in. It's a good goalkeeper to have. And their squad's just alright. Like, they had a lot of signings last year, and this year a lot of the players have stayed from last year. And if they can keep Cooper in for as long as they possibly can, then I don't see why they wouldn't be able to stay up. I think it'll be close, but I think like the 3 teams below them are worse than them, and I think Forest have got away with one this year, because I was literally until like probably I'd say last week I was thinking they're going to go down as well, but I think Wolves are going to go down over Forest. Let's go to 16th place now. See, this one's a bit trickier because I think many teams from the space of 16th to 10th can all flip-flop, so this one's going to be hard to call without doubt. I think the Prem are very much getting on now. They've got a top 6 to 8, and then maybe even a 9th sometimes being there, and then but now there's like a 10th to a 16th of teams what can just interchange, and there might be some surprises, like who out of these teams are going to go up and battle for challenge for Europa. But then there's on the other end, you've got some teams what you would think maybe in a higher end of the table what could battle for relegation. Like, it's nothing. I think it's very close, and it's an exciting league to see this year, especially. Like, I think, like I've said many times already now, you've got 2 teams that are going to go down. And after that third place could be a bit iffy. But then that's the magic of football. Like, anything can happen. I'm saying this, but Luton and Sheffield United might both stay up. Like, it's not a guarantee. Football isn't a guarantee. Stuff can change. But let's get back to 16th place. See, this one again, I would probably put someone else there, but I'm going to go with Fulham. I think a bit of second season syndrome is going to come into play. Mitrovic has already said apparently he doesn't want to play for the club again, or he's told his friends he's not going to play for the club again. That's their goal scorer gone. They've replaced him with Raul Jimenez, which, like I said, gets you 5 to 7 goals, but that's it. Mitrovic was like let's say a 10 to 15, maybe even 20 goal a season striker he could get to. But I think 16th's fair. It all depends, like I said, if they keep Mitrovic and he actually starts playing and starts firing, they'll stay up. Even if they keep Marco Silva, I think they'll stay up. But if he then decides to go because they're not, the board or whatever ain't listening to him, then it's looking getting a bit long. But I've liked some of their signings, like that Calvin Bassey. I've really liked the look of him. I would have loved him at Palace. I was a Palace supporter. I would have loved him at Palace. I think he's a good left back or left sided centre back, depending what you want. There's many let me double check their signings, because I know they've made some decent ones. Obviously, unfortunately, Solomon has left now, which was a good player for them last year. Obviously, Raul Jimenez, they've got other players coming in who are back. So, like, and Bamboo, I like the look of him. And they've got rid of some deadwood, like Shane Duffy, Joe Bryan. Like, they've got a decent thing. But actually, now I've thought about it, even though Calvin Bassey and Jimenez are decent, I'm contradicting myself a little bit, like, straight away. But even though, like, them two are decent signings, they've not made too many, and that could bite them. Maybe I don't know what their money situation is again like, but I think 16th is fair for them. Let's go into 15th now, and like I've said, I think this many teams could go around here, but I'm going to go with Everton. I think Sean Dyche is going to keep him up. He's got enough there to keep him up. They've that Danjuma signing, very nice signing. I like the look of him. He's decent. I think that's gonna be 10, 12 goals for them, regardless. Pickford, it looks like they're going to keep him. Very good for them. Decent keeper. Obviously, he's England number one. You're not England number one, or your nation's number one for no reason. So keeping Pickford on board is good. Didn't obviously keep Connor Cody, but I think that's good for them. I think Tarkowski. And who was the other centre-back they've signed? It will come to me. You know what it was? Because I'm fucking thinking of that Braithwaite. Even though he probably won't play. I think he might even go out on loan. But he's decent still. But I don't think he'll obviously play. But I know they've got a decent core of like people that Sean Dyche will want to work with. Ashley Young, he's a good signing for them. As much as people might not think he is, I think that's a player who's going to bring experience. He's going to help the young fullbacks or wingers learn their craft, and he's gonna get stuck in. He's not going to take no shit from anyone. They've obviously lost Elias Sims to Coventry, which I quite like the look of him. I thought he was a decent striker, but like if you're getting Danjuma is probably a better one, even though he's slightly prem proven, nothing major. But like I said, I think Sean Dyche got enough to keep him up. I don't think they'll be on the higher end. I think they'll be towards the lower end. But like I said, that 16th to 10th, they can easily all chop and change. Everton might end up being 11th by the end of the season. I don't know. I can't say. I think it's that tight. Going to be that tight down there. That's going to be a tough one to call. But I'm going to say, yeah, Everton 15th. Into 14th place now. I think it's going to be Brentford. Obviously, Ivan Toney is out for 6 months because of suspension for betting. That is the sole reason why I think they're 14th. He got him a lot of goals last year. I think he would have got him a lot of goals this year. If you're losing your main source of goals, then I think you're going to drop off a little bit. But it's not the worst thing, because when they get him back, that might be the no goals. Obviously, I don't know if he's allowed to keep himself fit. I assume he is. Don't know how he's allowed to keep himself fit. I don't know if he can't train with them or if anything like that. I'm not too sure of the rules and regulations of his suspension. But Mbeumo's still a good player. He's a source of goals, what they can use. Obviously, they're going to lose Raya now, going to Arsenal. I'm not sure, that might be a big miss. That's their main goalkeeper for the last however many years now, leaving. So I think, but I don't know what that Flecking, who's the keeper they got in to replace him, is like. But I know Raya was a good keeper. I always quite rated him. And to lose him, I think that's going to not disrupt it, because I think they knew he was going to go eventually this year, and Brentford are very good at the fact that they know Raya wanted to go, so they got that Flecking in early on in the window, put him in, get him a few games, get him to know the squad before it gets to Raya and go, oh shit, how do we got to get someone in now and get some dross in like Danny Ward. So I think Brentford 14th, mainly because they've not got their main source of goals, and probably the third best striker in the league last year. Like, Ivan Toney was on flames last year, and then he got, unfortunately, the suspension. He would have probably been a high pick for England caps and getting into the England squad more. And I think he's a 20-goal season striker, and minimum. To be honest, he can easily do it. So it's an unfortunate thing for them, and that's their only reason I think they're going to go down. Not go down, but like go down a few places from last year. Into 13th place now. Oh, it's when it gets a bit techie. I'm going to go with West Ham. See, this is where it's getting a bit it'll get a bit tricky because West Ham are, I think Fabrizio has confirmed that Ward-Prowse is going to go there, which is a good signing for them. Not an exact like-for-like Declan Rice replacement, but he's a source of free kicks, corners, penalties, a good ball player, but he's very fucking slow. I don't think people realise how slow he runs. He looks like he's running in mud. I went and watched Palace versus Southampton last year, and he was really slow. He didn't impress me too much, but he's a very good set piece taker. You can't deny that, so that's going to get many assists for him. And then Harry Maguire also is pretty much on his way there as well. So that's probably at least 10 goals just alone, with Ward-Prowse crossing into Harry Maguire, getting his big head on it, and then it's a goal. But there's just something I think missing from West Ham. I think the vibes are going to be off. Obviously, they got Conference League as well, not Conference League, actual Europa League as well. Which, look how they done last year with Conference League games, and then they underperformed really last year. So it's tough because do they push for the Europa League? Do they think they're going to win it? Possibly not, but they done well, got to semi-final the other few years. Or do they just concentrate on the league? If they concentrate on the league, I can actually see them being higher than that, probably debatably being 10th. But I'm just going off the fact that I think they're going to push for both competitions as well as they can for the first few months. And obviously it mainly depends on replacements. Losing Declan Rice, your captain and stuff, is a big loss. I don't care what anyone says. And he's a top player. It's going to be tough for West Ham, but I think they'll overcome it. And like I said, I think they could easily be in 10th, but I'm going to put them in 13th for the time being. We'll go in 12th place, and this is where I'm going to put my beloved Palace. Obviously, we've lost Zaha. So gutted to losing him. I thought he was generally going to stay, offering him 200 grand a week. But he wanted Champions League football, and that's what he's going to get at Galatasaray. He's gone obviously Galatasaray on a free. What upsets me more, we lost him on a free. I would have rather have just sold him in the summer now. Got 20-30 mil. Got some money for it, and then got a replacement in early. But I think we thought he was going to sign a new contract. Unfortunately, he didn't. Losing your best player to ever wear the shirt is not going to be easy for us. But we got Matthias Frencher, who I've not seen a lot of, obviously, but from highlights I'm seeing what everyone's talked about. He looks like a tidy player, like 6'3", good with his feet. We're linked with Somerville as well. If we get Somerville in as another winger replacement, I think that's going to be that's a good winger to have. I like Somerville, liked him at Leeds last year. We desperately need a new right back. I don't see why we haven't gone in for a new right back at all. We've got Joel Ward and Nathaniel Klein, and we need obviously we're going to get Lewis Hall as well on loan, which I like the look of. He's a good left back, centre mid. Probably could debatably play as like a winger as well. He's a very versatile youngster, and he's coming from Chelsea, obviously another Chelsea loan for us. 12th, why 12th? We finished 12th near enough every year. I think last year, what did we finish? Did we finish 12th or 11th? Might have been 11th last year. But if you look at our average finishing places, it's 12th. I think Roy's going to do well for us this year. I hope we have a replacement for him next year, though. I think this is his last dance sort of situation. Get the ball players playing. Your Eze's, Frencher, even Edouard, I think can do a lot still. A lot of Palace fans don't like Edouard. I don't know why. I think he's a top striker, and he can be a main source of goals if we get him firing. We need to give him confidence. We need to all get behind him, and he will get us goals. I think we've debatably got two of the best centre backs in the bottom half as well, with Guéhi and Anderson. Not if I Newcastle, Tottenham, United. I think City, Chelsea probably all have been sniffing around for both of them. Not necessarily just one person, but both of them. You can't have that many teams wanting them without them being like a top thing. I think our fullbacks need big work. Mitchell, I think this is his last year being our first team left back. Like I said, right back. Obviously, if we lose Elise, I can easily see us being 16th, 15th. Elise is a top player. Obviously, Chelsea and City want him. If they match a release clause, debatably is apparently there, which I don't think it's as low as what they're saying it is. But if it is, 35 million is still. I don't know why Chelsea are trying to even negotiate. They should just be chucking us 35 mil. That is a bargain for Michael Elise. He's a top player. I think Eze is our best player, but Elise is not far behind. But them two, if we can build our squad around them two, I think we'll be fine. But like I said, if we lose Elise, we're going to lose Eze soon after that, I think, as well, because there'll be no... He's not going to stay around like how Saha did. I think we was very privileged on how Saha stayed. But 12th, I think, is a fair place. But I can easily see us going to 14th, and then West Ham going to 12th. Like, it's a hard one to call, especially like them. Like I said, that's 16th to 10th. We'll go to 11th now. I'm going to go for Burnley. Like, Vincent Kompany done a very good job. Like, what was it? I think he's like 5th or 6th best championship sides ever or something. And he's got them playing great football. Like, it's nowhere near the Burnley of old, of lumping it forward, giving it to the big, beefy men up front. It's some ball playing, like silky football. They've got, and they recruit very cleverly. I can't say I know too much about a lot of signings that they've done. Obviously, James Trafford didn't even concede a goal in the under-20s World Cup. Apparently, he's really, really good. From what I've seen, he looks really, really good. But he's still young. He's still got to prove himself in the league. But I think if you've got a ball-playing side like Vincent Kompany are trying to integrate into them even more, I think he's only going to grow and grow and grow. 90 million does seem a bit steep, but City are very good at selling their youth players to other smaller clubs for high fees, because everyone knows City produce some of the best talent in the world. Burnley, definitely, I think they could be pushing for top half, but I think it's maybe a bit too soon. It'll be next season. I think they'll be definitely safe this year, to be honest with you. But I think it'll be next year where we really see if Vincent Kompany can keep playing the way they play. If they get rid of him or something like that, say next season, they bring in someone who's going to be completely change of style. A lot of the players who they have are not going to know that. So I think next year's the big test for them. But this year, I think people ain't going to expect them to come out ball playing the way that they did in the Championship and dominate teams. Like, I think teams against, like, obviously, like your Sheffield United, your Lutons, debatably even like Forest and Wolves, I think Burnley are going to play around them and play them off the park. Go into the top half now. Obviously, that was last position in the bottom half, which was 11th. Now we're into 10th. For 10th, I'm going to go with Bournemouth. Like I've said many times already, I think, obviously, if anyone from Fulham to Bournemouth now in my predictions could all interchange. It could literally just flip round, to be totally honest with you. It's so hard to call. But my reason for putting Bournemouth into the top half, into 10th, is pretty much their recruitment's been very good. They've got some money behind them. The manager, Iraola, very young, very exciting football. And they got him in early enough into the pre-season of getting rid of Gary O'Neill and getting him in for him to have his style of play now there, and him to put his style of football into these players. I've just seen as well that Max Aarons apparently is going there for 7 million. Like, why are Palace not going in for him for that? That's an absolute steal. It's a good Championship right back, done all right in the Prem. Surprised he ain't left earlier than he did. He's still young as well. That Kerskes at left back, very good left back, can play on the wing also. Obviously lost Jefferson Lerma to us, but I'm pretty sure they've replaced him straight away. Let me double check. Well, they haven't like directly replaced him, but they've probably got someone who's going to play there as well. They've also got that Traore now on a permanent after his loan, which is very good. Cliver, I like the look of. They've got Radu coming in on a loan because Neto's extended his contract, which is very, very, very good. They've got nice young, exciting potential to go through. And I think that, similar to like Kompany with Burnley, I think a lot of their players now would have had that Prem experience, and they would now be playing the style of play, which I think is going to shock teams. Like, even us, it's going to shock us that they might play us off the park, and it's like playing a good team like a City, not obviously as good as City, but playing a team like that will want to play football. And I think we're going to struggle against that, like teams like our standard. And I think that's where they're going to win a lot of their points. And I think they can pull off an upset. I think they can beat a Chelsea, a Tottenham, a United, a Liverpool, anyone like that. I think they can beat them. So, yeah, Bournemouth 10th. They're my first team in the top half. So now we're into the full-on top half, into 9th. And this one, I'm going to go with Brighton. Pretty much, I'm going with Brighton as, to be quite frank, I hate them for one. But that's not the only reason, obviously, I'm putting them there. Obviously got Europa League. I think they're going to struggle. Not a lot of their players have played Europa League and Premier League football. Obviously lost McAllister. Lost Sanchez, who was their keeper. Who, even though I know it was a big risk for for De Zerbi to change Sanchez to Steele. I don't think Steele's that good anyway. And get rid of Sanchez, I think that's a player you've had for, again, many years. Even though he might have been a bad egg at the time, it might upset some people. He's just gone. He's gone to Chelsea or even in Europe. Like that, surely that should might make other players think, well, we're not as big as a club as them, so maybe I want to go there in a couple of years. Same with McAllister. He's gone to Liverpool. He's also in Europa League. Like this all plays on people's heads. But Caicedo, I think if they lose Caicedo, then they're definitely not going to get top 8. I think he's the important part. Even though they're going to get a lot of money for him, and then they're going to sign some random people from some random countries like they always do, and they recruit very well. I'll give it to them. But I think losing Caicedo is tough for him. It's tough for him at the end of the day. I think it will be, even though 100 million, that's another one of your spine that you had last year, what got you into them positions, done well for you in them positions. I think it's going to be tough for Brighton this year. I wouldn't be surprised if, obviously, they don't get Europe again. But I think if they concentrate on Europe, that's where they're going to drop down a bit more. But I think they might as well go for it. When do they know they're going to get into it again? But De Zerbi, decent manager, I think he'll be fine, and he'll keep them around that way. Let's go for 8th position now. So this one is a bit tough, but I'm going to go with Aston Villa. Sort of echoing what I was saying with Brighton, but obviously Aston Villa in Europa Conference League. Not many of the players and Aston Villa as a club have really been in there in recent times anyway. Obviously they were relegated a few years ago. I think if they want to push quite far in Europa Conference League, like West Ham proved it, you can easily win that trophy, and I think Villa are probably going to be good enough to win that trophy. They've got a good squad. They've recruited well. Diaby, Torres at centre back. Obviously that Diego Carlos is back from injury, which is basically like a new signing. Obviously they've got people like Konsa still there. Ollie Watkins, who I really like. Douglas Luiz, who I like. Like they've recruited well. They've got good players already there. I think they've got a good squad, but like I said, I think Europe and Premier League is going to catch up on them a little bit. But I think they'll do a bit better, Brighton, because the Conference League ain't as high up as a competition as what Europa League is, so they can focus on it not as hard and have as good of a squad in both competitions still, because I think their depth is debatably a little bit better. But Villa, I think Villa's going to finish in 8th. I think that's a fair assumption. Let's go into 7th place now. Who do I think's going to finish 7th? The top 7 again is very hard this year. Like even your Brightons and Villa debatably could get in there still. A team like a West Ham or a Burnley could sneak in there and cause a shock. A Bournemouth could cause a shock. If I had to put anyone there for 7th place, I'm going to go with Tottenham. Obviously they finished 7th last year, but I think this is going to be a completely different 7th to last year's 7th. Last year's 7th was really sour. People expect them to do, but people were saying they were going to be title challengers. Like I never thought they were going to be title challengers. I thought they were going to do better than 7th. Don't get me wrong. I was thinking a debate would be 5th or 4th, maybe sneak into the Champions League. But I was never obviously thinking 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. But I think 7th this year. I think Ange Postecoglou, I think that's how you say his name. He's going to be a manager who's going to have no nonsense. It's a different recruitment to your Contes, your Mourinho's. Ange is pretty much, I think it's going to be like a no-nonsense. Like, if you don't want to be here, you're not going to stay here. We're going to play the players we want to play. It looking like they're going to keep Harry Kane because Daniel Levy is a very stubborn man. He knows what's best for business at Tottenham, but he's a very stubborn man. He's rejected 100 million bids from Bayern Munich, so keeping Harry Kane can only be a positive. Still got Kulusevski, Heung-Min Son, Richarlison's pony still, to be honest. So they need another backup striker probably. Obviously their goalkeeper is no longer going to be Lloris. Not sure what that Italian fella is, how good he is, but apparently he done well last year for it was either Sampdoria or Atalanta, I can't remember. It might not have been either, to be honest. But who in the Serie A last year, he done very well apparently. I think 7th, like I said, 7th is going to be a different 7th. Ange is going to put in his style of play, how he wants to play, how he wants people to play, who he wants to play, and I think it's only going to be a positive for him on keeping Harry Kane, even though I think Harry Kane will go next year. But I think seventh's a fair assumption. I think there is probably 6 better teams than them. I think it, like I said, I think Villa or Brighton could finish in the top 7, but I just have a feeling that it don't matter who's around them, Tottenham are going to finish 7th. So yeah, I think 7th place is fair. All right, we're into the top 6 now. Sixth, top 6 now. Gosh, obviously we've got. You can see the teams on there on who we think is going to be. And I'm going to go with Newcastle United. Why did I do a Scouse accent for Newcastle? 6th place, Newcastle. They got Champions League football this year. I don't know how much they want to go through in that, but they've got to give it a good go. So I think they'll drop off. Like they've got Isaac, however you pronounce the name, up front still with Callum Wilson, who is still firing. Nick Pope's decent, still obviously in goal. Dan Burn is still their left back from what I know. Where they've got Livramento in, I don't know if he's going to come in at a replacement right back or like second choice right back for Trippier, or come into as an inverted left back. But I don't think he's still Champions League quality. To be totally honest, he got he's been injury prone and he's got relegated with Southampton. Like, he's still a decent fullback, but is he the replacement you need to go for Champions League? I think they're very scared of obviously financial fair play. They got Tonali in, which is a very good centre mid. But he if anyone's seen that video of him with his wife or girlfriend or fiance, whatever she is to him, going through the gym, and they're saying, it's not as big as Milan's gym. I can't talk right now. Gym, it's hilarious. He just clearly doesn't want to be there. It's clearly only because Milan wanted to sell him. So I think 6th, as we fair, they've got a decent squad around him. Like, their midfield, to be fair, is a bit of a joke. They've got Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. There's a good midfield 3. Their front, they've obviously lost St. Maximin. They've got Andy Gordon, who I've never rated. I don't think he's that good. Who was it they got in to replace St. Maximin? Harvey Barnes. That's who it is. Didn't even need to check. Harvey Barnes, obviously, I think that's a good. Even though he got relegated, he's still got only 10 goals and 10 assists or something around them areas. Like, he got a decent amount of goals for relegated Leicester. Like, he clearly was their top 2 players with Maddison, who's obviously gone to Tottenham, who I've got in 7th. But Newcastle 6th, purely because I think the Champions League is going to take a toll a little bit. Alright, into the top 5 now. Who do I think is going to go 5th? Chelsea. To be totally honest, when you actually look at Chelsea's squad, it's not that quality. They've spent a lot of money, but it's not that good. I think the fact they have no Europe is going to be good, and Poch is a decent manager, and I think he's going to get them into a reasonable place compared to what Potter did and stuff like that. I think obviously in goal they've got Kepa or Sanchez, but it looks like Kepa might be leaving now from what I read earlier. Obviously their right back is Reece James, if he's fit. He's never really fit. Thiago Silva centre back, which is class. Then Badisile, Fofana, Levi Colwill, who's a good one, who was at Brighton obviously last year on loan, and he's a good centre back as well. So centre back pairings okay. Left back Chilwell, again quite injured a lot, or Cucurella, who's not that great. Not with midfield, they're going to try and get Caicedo. But other than that, they've got Enzo Fernandez, who's 120 million. I don't really see that. I know he's had to have time to fit in and stuff, but I think 120 million was a lot of money at the time, considering there's other teams who have spent 100 million on other players who are definitely more worth that, and they're going to not be funny dropping another 100 million on Caicedo. But then their front 3, Mudryk, who I think is going to do all right this year. He's fitted into the country and into a style of play. I think he's going to do okay, but I don't think he's going to be great. Sterling I still rate. And then their strikers, that Nicholas Jackson, I've not seen enough, but he looks decent, looks tidy. But there's still bad eggs there. Like, they've got Hudson-Odoi, who they don't want, who Fulham want and us want. Lukaku, they don't want. They've blatantly said they don't want him no more. Who was the other one? There was another bad egg. Oh, that's going to eat me up. Oh, and Ziyech. They've got him as well still there. Like, they've got people who don't want to be at the club, but debatably know the Chelsea way and probably better than some of the players they have currently, which is a bit weird. Like, Lukaku's is still a good striker. I don't care what anyone says. He's just a bit toxic in Chelsea's defence. But I think the no Champions League or no Europe at all will get them into the upper regions of the Premier League. But I can't see them doing the top 4. There's just something about it, I just can't see it. I just don't think their squad's good enough. I think they're purely going to be there because other teams below them, like your Brightons, Villas, and Newcastle, not Tottenham, are obviously in Europe. But I think people like Tottenham are going to go quite far in the cups, maybe. Chelsea might do alright in like the FA Cup. But I think 5th place is fair for Chelsea Football Club. Into 4th place, this one was quite easy for me to decide. I think it's going to be Liverpool. I think last year was a bit of a blimp for them. Blimp or bliff? Blimp for them. I think their squad's not... Well, their midfield is terrible, but Jordan Henderson was wank anyway, and they've got a lot of money for him. Same Fabinho was just... He just looks so old. Again, they got a lot of money for him, but right now their midfield is not great. Well, it's decent. They've got McAllister and Soboslai, and then they've got like Harvey Elliott. Like, they've got a good making, but they need like a holding mid. I don't know why they're not... Like, they want Lavia, but Southampton want about 40 mil. I don't know why they don't go in for Caicedo, or just try and look elsewhere and get a holding mid in, even if it's just an experienced one for a short term, and then try and get Lavia back in the January or the summer again. But I think they'll do alright. Like, their backline's still pretty much the same. They've obviously got Trent, who's now vice captain, and Van Dijk, who are captains. Alisson's still in goal. Obviously got like Matip, people like that as centre back, and left back's Robertson. So their back 5 is still the same squad. And I think, Konate plays centre back now with Van Dijk, which is a good back 5 when you look at it. And their front 3 is decent still. You got Gakpo, Nunez, Salah. Like, they've got a decent team. It's just their midfield, I think, is going to let them down, and that's where they're going to lose games against like your Cities, your Arsenals, your Newcastles in the midfield. Sometimes in them big games, that's where games are won and lost. And I think even like with Luton, if Liverpool don't have a hard working midfield like they have for many years, teams like Luton at Luton could run around them in rings a little bit in the midfield, because everyone's a bit everywhere and they don't really know what to do. So I think Liverpool, 4th place is fair, and I think they'll be happy with 4th place, considering they got, what was it, 5th or 6th last year. Then Europa League. If they push for the Europa League, they could possibly drop out of the top 4. So I think that's one of the sacrifices they want to make if they want to win the trophy in Europa League, or if they want to get top 4 again. I think that could play a part in their final placements, but I'm going to say 4th. Into 3rd place, again, I think this was quite an easy one for me personally. I've gone for Man United. See, Man United are a weird one. They've spent, again, a lot of money. Like, they've got that Højbjerg up front now, who I have no idea if he's good or bad, to be totally honest with you. I've not watched like any football of him. He's young. It does seem like they're just copying Man City and just hoping for a Haaland, literally a Haaland carbon copy. Obviously not got De Gea, but Onana's a decent keeper, even though he got lobbed the other day. Onana I like the look of. I think if Rashford gets firing the same way he was last year, I think and he gets as many goals as he did, they'll do well. Obviously, I think if Sancho starts coming back into it a little bit more, that's a good player to have on your team. Anthony, I don't really rate him too much, but he could probably get you some sort of numbers. Obviously, Casemiro, I've never rated Mount. People saying it's a good signing, but what was it, 60 mil? Might be a bit steep for me, but I need to see the midfield work of Casemiro, Bruno and Mount. I don't see how them three, the dynamic works, but people think it will, which is fair enough. But I think Casemiro's, like, he could easily miss 8 games this year through just suspensions. I think that's a very valid point of any of it, that he could miss 8 games, and that's going to cost them a lot of points, which will drop them out of the top 2. But I think they've got enough quality. Like, they've still got Varane, Martinez, the Butcher, which I hate that nickname, by the way. It's so cringe. I hate it so much. Luke Shaw I still rate. Wan-Bissaka I love to bits, or Dalot. He's a good right back. So I think they've got makings of a good squad. There's just a few missing pieces to get them into that top 2. And that's why I think the other 2 are going to be battling for out there. So we'll go for who we think is going to be second, who's first. Like, obviously, as you can tell, it's the top 2 from last year. Now, last year I would never have said Arsenal were going to finish second last year and battle for the title as long as they did, even though they bottled it slightly. Do I think they can dethrone City? Because obviously the treble winners, obviously the Community Shield, they beat them, even though they took a deflected goal and penalties. They still did beat them. Do I think they can dethrone City? No, I don't. I think the top two is going to be City number 1 and Arsenal number 2. Let's talk about Arsenal a little bit. I think Declan Rice signing is brilliant. Like I was saying earlier, Chelsea signed Enzo Fernandez for 120 million, where Declan Rice was there for 105. I think that's as much as how much people are saying, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but that's how much football players cost now. And I think that's a great signing. It's something they needed. They needed that sort of player, that ball winner who can also carry it. He's gonna win them a lot of games where Partey, when he weren't there or wasn't on form in the game, lost them games. I think Rice is a much more consistent player and will keep him up. Julian Timber, I like the look of him playing at right back, even debated with centre back. But if he goes right back, White can go back into centre back. They've got a lot of depth now. They've got Tomiyasu, Timber, White, Saliba, and Gabriel as this back four. So obviously last year when they had to play Holding over Saliba because of Saliba's injury, that's where they lost the league pretty much. From that moment, you could tell that's when they lost the league. So I think Timber coming in or White coming back into the centre, I think that's going to be a big win for them. I'll just give up with the word I was trying to say. And I think Timber's a good signing. Havertz, I'm not sold on. Apparently he's going to play in the 8. Again, it's kind of similar to Man United's midfield 3. I need to see it work with a Rice, a Havertz, and an Odegaard. I can't really see Havertz too much as an 8. But he's not a striker either. He's a terrible striker. He should not be up front. Even though he done okay in the Community Shield, but he won't get you a lot of goals, if any at all. Might be alright on the right for a Saka replacement, but Arsenal haven't made him their highest paid player to sit on the bench, realistically. Where do I think they're going to lose it? I just think City are going to have more hunger and they've just got a bit of better quality. Mainly up front with the goals. I think the only one in that front three would be Saka goes into City's team. Martinelli, there's something about him. He's a bit too scatty for me. And then, like I said earlier, you got Jesus, who's not a goal scorer, and then you got Havertz, who's not a goal scorer. I think then there's going to be something just missing for Arsenal this year, kind of like last year. I don't think they're going to bottle it. I just think City are going to be a bit more hungry. So let's go on to City a bit. Obviously, they've got Gvardiol, who come in at who they've signed in as the most expensive young centre back or defender, I think it is. Great signing. Can play on the left back or centre back. I think John Stones is going to solidify himself as one of the best midfielders in the league, which is mental to say. Walker looks like signing a new contract, which is a big signing for them, pretty much like a stay. Obviously losing Gundogan and replacing with Kovacic, I don't think that's a like for like replacement. I think there was better options there. But if anyone can work it into Kovacic, would be Pep Guardiola. Losing Mahrez, I think, is even a bigger miss, and they haven't seemed like they've replaced him yet. I'm pretty sure they want Paqueta. I don't know if Paqueta's going to come in to be that Gundogan replacement, which I assume he will. But I think City need a new right winger. But then Cole Palmer scored the other day and he looked tidy, he looked nice. And City have one of the best youth academies in the league. So they might be someone they already have ready made there on who they think is going to be the next winger or the next midfielder. Like, they've got a very, very good youth academy. Haaland, I think, is going to get firing again, even though he does seem to go quiet in big games. When he scores a hat-trick against the smaller clubs. And that's where he's getting his goals, and that's where they're getting their points. You got to face everyone, and he's facing them, and he's scoring against them. Like, you can't argue with it too much. Obviously, Grealish, I think, is going to do well this year. They've still got a great back line. Like, it's brilliant. Like, we was talking about United and Liverpool's back line, and even Arsenal's, but City's is debatably better than all of them. And I think they've got the hunger of going 4 in a row of winning the Premier League. It's never been done before. Will it be done again? We don't know. If someone's going to do it, it's going to be Man City. Obviously, they've got that Champions League trophy now, so they're not going to push for that as much, I think. I think the Premier League is going to be their main priority for the fact of they can get 4 in a row. I think if they obviously lost to Arsenal last year, they would have then been hungry anyway. So it's more the big games, and I think them 2 games where they play Arsenal, they beat them both times again, unfortunately, like they did last year. And yeah, that's pretty much why I think City are going to win the league. Mainly due to, I think it comes down to the two games against Arsenal. Well, there's my league predictions for next Premier League season, as you can see there. So obviously we'll just go back through it. Sheffield United at 20th, Luton 19th, Wolves 18th, Forest 17th, Fulham 16th, Everton 15th, Brentford 14th, West Ham 13th, Palace 12th, Burnley 11th, Bournemouth 10th, Brighton 9th, Villa 8th, Tottenham 7th, Newcastle 6th, Chelsea 5th, Liverpool 4th, United 3rd, Arsenal 2nd, and winning the Premier League next year is Manchester City. Let me know if you agree with this or you disagree. I'm sure there's going to be many people who disagree with what my Premier League predictions will be. Let me know in the comments on what your Premier League predictions are, or your top 4 and your relegation 3. Let me know in the comments below. Where do you think your club's going to finish, the club you support? Don't forget to like and do them comments, and then subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.